Whee! Hello everyone, I'm gonna stream, but I'm not gonna have my mic connected, so this way everybody can enjoy the Let's Play as we go along the story. My camera will be on, so you can see my reactions and how I react to the story. Yeah. Unless you prefer to hear my whole reaction and response while I'm making this Let's Play, while I'm playing through the game, whatever, I will do it. As long as as long as it is within my power, which I do not have power. But I do have power to control my own destiny and my own content to the way I like it. So you know what? Screw the mute mic. Hey, someone get the cameras rolling. Okay, we're getting it rolling. To be honest, guys, I have never finished this game. So, welcome to part 1 of Monster Hunter Stories. And I will end up getting straight to Monster Hunter Stories 2 because now I'm just like taking a break from like Diablo 4 and Path of Exile doesn't seem to be doing so well, you know? Ugh. And last night I slept Oof. I don't know how, but I slept good last night. My TV was on in my room. I turned it off just when I was waking up. My PlayStation 4 was off, so no worries about that. Oh boy. And I slept early yesterday. I usually never sleep early. I never get good sleep like I'm supposed to. But now I seem to be getting a lot of good sleep, which is kind of nice for a change.
When darkness is born,
hold on, guys.
Dread spreads with fright.
Hey, Dad.
The savior we seek shall respond to our cries. Astride a white dragon, they'll take to the skies. Then blight will recede, and the light will live on. With rider of monsters. And champion of bonds.
But they saying that other way that you can do it, okay? Because he couldn't provide, I couldn't provide for them, okay? But for him too, that way is too. But for me, it's like, it's like they say, so, before she even I mean, I look at the height, I look at the face like that, so I'm like, you look like, you know that, it's just like, how you know? Yeah, that is like, like, when I see you talking about are you this anything like that? I asked her, you know, or I just told you what she said. She said, how did you know? I was like, your eyes, they have that Filipino. They talk Filipino. They look like you like that. But they're not. Of course, they're like, they almost look like that. Like, right? So like, they're their own. We won't get to so yes, that's how they work to us people. Well, I'm glad it's not like some clown thing that the country is even though Trump wants to prevent the legislature does things right. At least compared to the 50 in the past, the 50 really got worse. But Trump won't get better. If he gets to get better, he's going to be I want to say it's better for us because we all go through yeah. And now they say that I'm not the best player. I'm a decent guy. I'm not a pro. I don't like competitors. No, I never asked to be the best. Look. If I know a character beat, I would say this character is my style. This is the character I'm good with. Am I perfect? Yes, no. Right. You know, when I played soccer before started in college, it reminded me when we used the paladin ability. And in Diablo 3, I used to be very good with the paladin. What happened after that? Brian, people grew fear. What fear is for the paladin? So what does the thief started doing? He started doing things like Halo 3, right? He's trying to test a mixed ability, right? So the other day, me and Julie, we told Brian, you need to fix this build. You know why? He's using part of what I do, right? But he's trying to make it into his own way. When you do that, it basically messing it up, you know? Because that is not really a build. That thing that he's doing is not really part of any build. And that's why he's going to die over and over. He says he wants to make it the best deck, but also consistent, right? And me, I was able to handle the hits better than Brian. Julie was able to handle the hits better than Brian. Why? Because Brian is rushing consistently. Did you know that? Even though he's at high level, he don't have the right gear build. See, me and Julie, when we use the Arbiter, right? The one that super auto, right? And I looked through them. Guess what, guys? Yesterday, I got the ring for the Arbiter build. And when I socketed the white gem, right? It became better than the other one, the legendary that I had before, right? So I'm like, woo, woo, woo. All I need is one more unique deck, only one more unique, and I build this. how you can just stay alive and try to die. Why? And then you can say, nobody's helping me, nobody wants to help. You should be able to hold your own, dude. Leave the Russian resistance. You're trying to lock someone's door. You get it? That is trying to lock someone's door. I have to adopt someone. Let someone think. Right? Right now, I'm just trying to work paradigm. You know that? If there's a national paradigm revolution, three countries, I am close to two countries. You get that? One country is, and plus you cannot tell me that it's still true. The damage is still every still, right? But you cannot that out. You can't. They're changing it little bit to the point where you can actually not tell me still true. You know that? Like just all the points and everything for the ones you use. You know, not like everywhere, but like every part of the skill and pathway. I believe that's played before before, like that. When you go to the journalist, like that, you go to the journalist, right? And he will tell you, would you like to speak on this? Right there? How old are you? Right there? So once he calls you up, right? Follows up all your skills to maximum. So that way, whatever goal you decide to go for with the journalism, like that, because whatever was already put in there, whatever skills was put in there, like that, you can use it now. You can go for a year and then set it up already. You just need the arbiter access, right? If you go to a terminal, you put skills on everything and stop it all. And then you can make a positive one and any other goals depending on what goal you want to make and test that. So let's say if I look up on the phone, right, a good result, like the gluttony and irritability, right? That is basically the justice, or would you say, let's say, gluttony, you know that? It kind of increases the power level of, I don't know, let's irritated, alright? What is that? So like gluttony, so okay, irritated, you can make a irritated word, right? Like total, right? So let's say if I decide to go for a glutton hamburger, right? All I have to do is look at the phone and I go to a terminal builder, right? Max out the points, like how can I increase it, right? He gives me everything based off of what was on the phone, right guys? So let's say if I want to try the glutton hamburger or the irritated word, whatever goes the power has, I go to the terminal builder and he will give me the ability based off of what you're trying to do. Get it, guys? It's not really like like that in the sense. He'll tell you what goes to be important, right? And what goes for positive goals, and he automatically gives you everything. Charlotte, the bill that I'm going for, right? You know? You know how when our country is the only one able to set that bill, right? Now any person, as long as they go to the cemetery like that, they can test that bill. It's like you can only test that bill if you're intoxicated and if they give you access to like the latest people's drivers and deals, right? Off the bat, right? Like that. Well now any person, as long as they go to the eternal building, like that, they can test out bills. And guess what? The people who don't like the damage being high can go through it too because they're just toxic, you know? They don't wanna they don't want people to be able to enjoy the satisfaction from right? This is just a one time only thing. So who cares what they do these days? Because they make it look like limited edition special. And you know we all know that eventually the next season, right? Season 12 of this, right? Will eventually run a lot more. Quite a bit of people. Not a lot. I'll just balance it out, right? People don't know that the seasonal minimum right now we all look for, it's only for now, right? And then when they bring a new class, guess what class is expected to be higher? There's a lot of speculation. You know, you have people that are saying either the road, right? Not road, the demon, right? From Diablo 3. Some people are speculating that what do you call it? The Hall of Demons, right? Class, right? Or the Blood Knight, right? You know the Blood Knight was in Diablo's main version, right? People are speculating. We already have the power like that. Some people are also speculating either among us, right? So Demon Hunter learned from Diablo 3, the two classes. And some people, because they know that Diablo 4 has to be continued, right? Some people are expecting either a blood like that because that is new, but only exists in Diablo 2, right? Because you know the blood knight, in a way, it's kind of broken like that. It's kind of like it's a bad character, you know. People thought that we would get the blood knight just the one season based off the witchcraft like that, but we didn't get it like that. But people may also be speculating that very soon we'll be getting one of the two classes. And this time people are speculating Blood Knight or returning classes, right? Like clones, like that. Because we only have classes from Diablo 2 and only one from Diablo 3. Actually, we got a few from Diablo 3 and Diablo 2, right? So we have Barbarian, right? That's from Diablo 3 and Diablo 2. But the way they could make the Barbarian is like Diablo 2, like that. So what if instead of Barbarian, like that, they decide to do something new, like how you say, like a fallen angel class, right? Or a blood knight, like that. Because So right. So some people say it's making the bone of history, right? So then it would the blood away. Get that? Not away. Blood. Get that? Because the pictures that they show look exactly like in that movie, right? One only for one color. But it's like it's right? So it would have to be up all three, right? Those are where most of the speculation of Einstein to be accepted. Like that shadows figure of the sun, right? You know why they shadow it and not show it? Because they want people to guess, right? They want to try to figure it, like that. They're waiting for that tiny moment, right? Like what did they do to the new continent, right? Yeah. They added the Paladin, right? Lord of Hatred, and they still have plans to do more, you know? But when the Lord of Hatred fully launches, you get that? Because they were fans, there could be expansion, you know? They decided to not make it Christmas. Get that? Because I looked up it yesterday. Is there a chance they make it Christmas? They said if they did, it would have to be August 10th, right? But they're trying to completely contradict like that. Meaning Diablo 4 is going to lead to the end. You get that? Diablo 4 would be the key. And maybe down the road, maybe later down the line, because Diablo Immortal has controller support, right? They could probably bring that to the PS5, because guess what, Switch ain't gonna make it, you know? And I know when I say it on the stream, I know people don't like that, but like, think about it. People, you support Nintendo non-stop to see the bigger picture. You support Pokemon to a point where you don't see the bigger picture. Right then, I played Pokemon since I was a little kid. My Pokemon was Pokemon Yellow. You know, right there. And then, as soon as I get to Pokemon Blue, it's different, right? As soon as I see what Nintendo's trying to do to the game, and this is a game I actually enjoy, and a lot of people enjoy. Why? Why do people enjoy it? Because this developer is giving you free content, right? If you play Pokemon either during school and you're new and you just started working, right? You're forced to get all bundle packs of content. You have to pay close to around $170. Like that's ridiculous. They're charging you for content. That should be free. You know that? A lot of the time, this content is free. Yeah, I understand the information and some people, but like, don't charge so much. You know how much they charge for content for the Sword and Shield stuff? You want to know how much it costs? Around $13.99. Some people say, well, that ain't a lot of money. Oh, maybe you can afford it, but not me, right? I mean, increasing the price of the Switch, okay, that's okay, that's fine. At least it'll increase it up to around $599, right? That's understandable, right? It's an upgrade. But here's the problem. It looks like the same Switch. So because it looks like to third or fifth train system, right? That system does not run around 30 or 50 frames per second. If it did, it still wouldn't have any problem. It wouldn't be happening. That shit shouldn't be a thing around here. You know why? The split looks the same, just a different approach, right? With like the sky or something, right? It's still like the same thing as the living field. You put in a dot right there, and you can still play on a TV. So it don't make sense, right there. All it is an imitation that looks more better, right? Looks more different, right? But it's still the same. The graphics is better, but you know, with the system as it's like that, graphics aren't everything. You heard? Okay. Like that. When it comes to me, is graphics everything? No, it's the plot, like that, right? And when we say game, what's more important, the graphics or the gameplay? The gameplay, where people can enjoy the gameplay. But Nintendo is so focused on improving graphics to a point where now they're having issues with stabilizing. And so when you play many games on the Switch 2, why is this? Why is the SX not working? Also because they're losing money. Outland's also a game classical, a game that a developer that I actually support their game, right? Also, but after I mentioned right, let's say from my point to play Windows 2, I'm going straight to story. Why? Because early next year, they'll be released, you know? It just forever our system you know, I heard that that game is around $1,500 at a game, right? You know how many ways this would protect it, right? Well, in this one, you have all of your characters, well, part of your characters, follow you, right? Like in Xenoblade Chronicles, like that. But it takes inspiration from other games. So it's kind of like that sci-fi aesthetic, right? From Xenoblade Chronicles and stuff. And the art style is somewhat similar to like games historically, right? Called I'll check it out. And after I mention the issue, Wizard knows, right? Because even though it's its own game, right? It has some similarities to other genres. The female character, there's no female character, right? But the character, you know who, right? Yeah, the female character. Check it out. It's a little different. Like the Uber, they're not trying to make the game where the female characters have something to say. But it does give you some information, right? Who cares about gameplay? I think that's one of the appeals to that, right? A lot of anime, right? There's favorite. That NFL game, it's a pre-game against either Eagles, which is my favorite team, or just random toxicities in the game doesn't really have a lot of characters that show up, you know? So it is as centered as it could get, right? Right? That's it. In that game, there's no female character that shows significance. You know that, right? It's like it's trying to take that sci-fi action kind of combat, right? But no centered species. There could be one character, female or male, that shows significance, but not really. You know what I'm saying? The game itself, let's just say it's not really created for kids. You know that? It's rated P for people. Get it that? Because the mobile version was a classical version, the original, right? And they never showed a female character with features. And they didn't have very represented physically showing. But this is a different version of that. It's open world, right? That this time instead of transportation, you can wander around the earth, right? Different continents, like what you were doing with in Genesis. Contact Star is different in Planet Zone Zero, right? Planet Zone Zero had its own way of exploration, right? That, but once you got into the combat, it just felt like a complete fighting game, right? That, like an action fighting game, like that. You gotta do combos, right? But like, it was still good. Planet Zone Zero was actually better than Genesis and Contact Star. It was better than both of those games. See, I feel like Contact Impact is the better experience instead of Genesis and Contact Star Super. But I saw people that played Contact Dollar, right? And I saw something that I never thought I would see at the game. You know what I thought? I saw how it truly is supposed to be with the new Panasonic type of display. That's what they call it, Panasonic display. That was supposed to be. Guess what? I think it might be, you know, because people have wanted Panasonic as a company, right? That as a company because it is part of the company. Get that? It is other people who are stupid who would say, oh, it's terrible, it sucks. Because those are people that come from gaming, you know? People that come from another side of the community of gamers, they'll go to other organizations and talk shit, talk smack. It's not right. It's not right. It's just not. It's just not right. When you have people in one gaming community only coming to the other gaming community to talk shit like that. Remember, I played wins where wins meet, right? That's a gotcha game, but they have a chat box system and people put stuff like politics into it. Nobody wants to hear you talk about Trump 2028. What? I don't care about what you think. What I care is about how many people have to suffer because of this asshole. So stop putting politics into an MMO because we all know Trump ain't gonna be around for 2028. That's what they want to say because that's what they believe in. Guess what? Bianca's friend believes in it. Her male friend believes in it, and I talked smack about him on TikTok once because that guy is just using her. So, he's like, and I know it's not my business. That's why I don't usually get completely involved. I just tell him Trump is a stupid person. You say Trump is good for 2028? Trump is a dumb motherfucker. I'm just saying it. I'm just being honest, honest with my opinions. You know that every person, yes, they have the right to have an opinion. But if someone don't agree with that opinion, don't freaking say anything. Right, Dad? Because that's why back then, one side and the other side, why did the violent protesters try to go against the peaceful protesters? It ain't just because Trump gave them, telling him, he was trying to lead those people the wrong way. And so they were not aware what Trump was actually trying to do. Some people who still wants to vote for this guy still believe, or they just they don't believe. They just want to do whatever they want to do as they please, right? So there's one thing I have to say in a political wise, it doesn't always go the way you want. The world is not yours. The world is everyone's. Right, Dad? The world is for everyone to enjoy, right? Life. Right, Dad? Am I right? And this guy wants to take that away from billions, millions of people from around the world, not even the state, but also the countryside. He wants to get rid of China culture from here. He wants to get rid of Japanese culture from here. Very soon, because one of his own members will kill his ass. And people could get mad at me in this stream for saying so. I don't care. This guy could be from ICE. I don't care. Because I am a U.S. citizen who is born here. My family was from Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico was already part of the United States. So they are considered U.S. citizens. And Trump tried to say, oh, if you're Puerto Rican, you're not really Puerto Rican. Oh, okay, well, then what is a Puerto Rican to you? Right, Dad? Spanish. What is a Mexican to you? Spanish, right? All of these different Spanish. Latin, Latina, Latino, Puerto Riqueña, Puerto Riqueño, Mexicano, Mexicana, right? Those are all Spanish, Hispanic people. We're just regular Spanish, but those are Hispanics. You're messing with Spanish people because you're making them, if they live in the city and they're already citizens, they signed a contract by the government to become citizens and took an oath as a citizen to be a citizen, and you're trying to deport them. Why? And then you're talking shit about black Americans. Dude, shut the hell up. You know, he talks more than me, right? I guarantee you he talks more than me. You know why? While nothing's getting interviewed, he would still talk. And if he was interviewing, he would still talk. And if he was in a restaurant, he would still talk, right? He has friends that he talks to all the time, right, Dad? Dude, you know, Trump is more desperate for a conversation to criticize someone else more than people like me. You know that? Like, this guy's stupid. This guy's an asshole. He makes it look like he's making agreements with Japan. They didn't agree to his agreements. He tries to make it look like he's making agreements with Ukrainians, right? Even the leader of Ukraine, you remember his last moments when he got out of the White House? He says he still, like, Trump still has no intention to support his people by giving them equipment, right? That he has no interest in building a relationship with them. Why? Because he's a Putin's boy, right? Nobody likes Putin. We like the people who are cool in Russia, who are nice in Russia, because there are some nice people in Russia. There's even some nice people in Ukraine. But the issue is, because Putin still exists as a leader in Russia, and he tries to take the name Rasputin, which is based off of a miracle healer, right? A mystic healer. So why are you taking the name of other leaders and a guy known as Rasputin, who is a mystic healer? And why did he had a target on his back? Because everybody who were against him, they were mostly bad people, right? People killed the mystic healer because he was doing good, right, Dad? And there were a majority of people who appreciated him, right, Dad? And looked up to Rasputin. He was one of the nicest guys. And suddenly they shot him non-stop, right? Because Russia had everything, right, Dad? They had guns, right? But, like, they shot Rasputin. You know how? Non-stop machine gun. Did you know that? They shot him more than twice, more than 3 times. It was a bunch of shots in one man. And this guy was a good Russian citizen who was his own person, right, Dad? He was always trying to help people. And then you had a Russian leader who was against that. It's kind of like Romans who didn't like Jesus, right? Right, Dad? And even though this guy didn't have a specific religion, this guy was still always trying to do good for the Russian people who had issues, right? That so if you think about it and think about Jesus' story compared to that guy, in a way it's similar, but Jesus was hanged on a cross, right? Because that was his fate, right, Dad? But he already knew, I already know that Jesus already knew he was going to get put on a cross because he knew that the Romans were catching on, right, Dad? So it's like Jesus knew everything about everybody because people did think he was actually God, even though he was not, right? Some people believe he was God. Some people just say he was probably just the son of God. But like, who cares what's what? He was a cool guy, right? He was a nice hearted guy. He was teaching people the value of religion, right, Dad? And how to not abuse religion. Like, he was Jewish, yes, right? But he was a different side of the Jewish land. He was in a small village, which wasn't really a village, right? He left that village alongside Mary and Joseph, right? And they made their own living because they needed a change in scenery and change in environment, right? I mean, think about it. This guy, Jesus, was one of the coolest guys. If I continue watching what happens and what kind of person he was, and then the way he explained that God is not someone who would have a grudge against humanity, right? He just wants to have people in peace in the promised land, right? That people used to think that the promised land was somewhere on this planet, right? No, the promised land is actually heaven itself, heaven on earth, right? You die, your spirit goes to a better place and takes a physical form, right, Dad? So, people every time this year, such as Ted Cruz, because you have a lot of politicians that use religion the wrong way. Jesus has never wanted us, and God has never wanted us, to use religion and use God's name as an excuse and as a threat and as a harassment. Trump has talked smack about transgenders, but how were transgenders born? Like any other child, like any other person. Who gives a fuck how people are born? People are they. They are who they are. They are uniquely them. Like, fuck all these people who talk smack about other people because they're different. I mean, I wouldn't be in a relationship with a transgender, but I believe in respecting a transgender. Like, I would be his friend or her friend, however he wants to be recognized as a her or he. So, like, usually transgenders prefer to be called she's, like a female, like an actual female. So I would respect that and say, "How's it doing, lady?" And say, "How you doing?" But like other people, man, Other people think that transgenders are not normal people. They are normal people. If they have a heart, they are normal people. If they have a brain, if they are living, then that means they're normal people. But the thing that I looked up that a lot of people don't really believe in is the supernatural. Alien invasions. I looked it up. If the world was in a weakened state, the reason why aliens never showed themselves yet is because they're waiting. People and scientists believe that aliens are just waiting for the right opportune moment to invade our planet. Why? Because they're watching over us. And when people don't believe in the supernatural, okay, look at the one news that used to show before. They showed an alien figure on top of some mark on top of one shop, on top of an antenna, on top of that shop, because that shop had a second floor that had a house, and this alien looked like he was pissed off. Dude, you know why aliens, when they come to Earth, sometimes it's mostly to warn us. And then the people, scientists, catches the alien creature. Why? To do an autopsy, research. We want to learn more about these beings. Leave those beings alone, man. You know, if you think about it, aliens are living creatures, right? And people may think I'm crazy. People may think scientists are crazy. But, like, there are a few scientists that believe in supernatural activity, like aliens, spirits. Other people don't think it's real. But it's real once they see it, if they experience it for themselves. I never experienced it because I never been to a haunted place. But I believe in the supernatural nonetheless. You
Lillian,
have to, you know what
you
they
know we're not
say.
supposed to be
You
here.
remember what this one character said in Polar Express, the movie, the animated movie film that Tom Hanks was also playing in. There was a guy ghost. There was a ghost guy, and he was a spirit. He was like, well, seeing is believing. You know, if you see or if you believe, believing is seeing. Seeing is believing. It goes two ways. It don't just go
I'm
one
sure it
way.
was around here. I found a monster egg.
It's stupid. People treat people like shit, and after they kill that person, they expect their house to be not haunted, right? But when you kill someone and you kill him in a horrible way, of course he is still gonna linger. His spirit is still gonna stay in this world until he haunts you, until he gets his payback against you. Because when you piss off a person to death and piss him off as a spirit, because you pissed him off as a human physical form. Now you pissed him off regardless, even as he is a spirit, he's still angry. You don't piss off people, you don't kill them and piss them off. While their body is down in the ground and they're dead, you're talking smack about that person. Well, guess what? Now you're gonna get cursed because his spirit will come to haunt you and make you feel guilt. Oh, but it don't end with guilt. He'll make you feel fear itself.
You two do want to see a monster egg, right?
Yes, I do.
I guess.
No. We do, Shovel. We do. We do. We want to see it. We want to see a monster.
Don't tell me you're scared.
Hey, everyone. Sorry you had to hear me yapping. Yeah, I know. I know that wasn't supposed to be a thing. I should mute my mic from the stream. I do apologize. That was probably meant to be between me and this house. But like, in a way, it's actually a good thing because people probably end up watching the stream when it's uploaded. I mean, I'm still playing because I was too busy over there.
I'm gonna be a rider next
So
year.
I'm still continuing this Let's Play.
And riders aren't afraid of anything. Whoa.
I'm gonna probably make
Jump.
this into a
So,
3-hour
You're
stream.
not scared, huh?
Who's on? Oh. Woohoo! Oh yeah, guys. When I said that people have their own opinions and I don't care about their opinions because they shouldn't be saying something to you if your opinion is different, because sometimes it can lead to a conflict between citizens and citizens, you know. I don't want to know who she voted for or who he's voting for unless we have an agreement on something. Because there's a lot of people, political-wise, they don't have no agreements, some of them. And they don't want to get along. Why? Because one person talks smack about the other person because he thinks that guy is better, and then the other guy thinks the other guy is better. You know, it's like one side thinks one side is better, the other one says this side is better than your side. Shut up, man. No politics, man. No politics in a game. If it's a game, no politics. No thank you. No thank you. And that's how New World Eternum started. But, like, I feel like New World Eternum was bound to go down. And I wasted money knowing that it would take... Dad, when did I get New World Eternum? Last year, right? It was the 10th month, right? And somewhere around day 10 as well, right? Around day 10. Oh my God. It shuts down the second year. You get it, Dad? No, wait, it's not shutting down the second year. But they already announced the shutdown this year, which is the second year it has been in consoles and on all platforms. Overhaul. You know, not overhaul, but they changed the title a bit, right? Before it was just New World, right? What they're doing is exactly what the developers of Bless Unleashed just did. You know that? The developers of Bless Unleashed, they let the IP publishing rights for console to Bandai, right? But this is a whole different story because New World is an IP that Amazon Games created. But then they took publishing rights of Throne and Liberty. I feel like Throne and Liberty is the game that is forcing them to struggle. You get it, Dad? I feel like New World Eternum is more better than Throne and Liberty. Like, why did they have to keep Throne and Liberty and shut down New World Eternum and make an excuse saying we lack resources? Why do you lack resources? You're not making any money. You're losing money. And then you're going to have to take down the gaming studio and just continue focusing on marketing, right? Because this is Amazon, Dad. You know Amazon? You know, like Amazon shopping app? Amazon should stick to what they're good with, right, Dad? And that is selling products from different businesses that they have relationships with, right? Like, sell things. Don't make games if you're not good with games. And if it's MMO, you calling it an online action RPG. That is a horrible way. See, that's why the publishing was terrible. You get it, Dad? When they first put it on consoles and PC, they would always call New World Eternum an online action RPG. Right, Dad? Now, they call it an MMO action RPG. Right? But that's a little bit too late. And then you start taking a game made by a Korean developer, a game that has not been doing well in North Korea, right, Dad? And now it's not doing any better here. And the developers of the game, of Throne and Liberty, they're giving updates to Amazon with their second studio, which is an Amazon gaming studio. Oh boy, man. Just focus on what you made. Don't focus on a game that is not doing so well. People had high expectations for Throne and Liberty, but me, myself, right? When I heard the word, it's not doing good in North Korea, and it's a Korean game, right? It has too much pay to win. So, just keep New World Eternum. Take away Throne and Liberty and keep New World Eternum. No. They said, oh, we lack the resources to continue 2-game online MMO titles. Okay then. Don't get rid of New World Eternum and make an excuse saying it's already finished. It's not finished. They didn't even finish the dang game. They only say that because they put a Halloween event, right, Dad? And that was their last update that they put into the game. Once that event ends, it don't matter. It's still going to be online service until it shuts down, right? They're not going to do any more updates for any events, period. If they have an update for an event that they put in there, that event is going to be the only thing that stays there, right? And they said that the Halloween seasonal update was basically their final, right? So that means if the Halloween event is still there, because some of these seasonal events, right, that they took inspiration from Diablo, right? That's the only difference in content wise. But like, take down Throne and Liberty. That game ain't doing you any good. It's not that I'm right. It's not considered toxicity. It's considered knowledge, right? That about gaming itself, right? That if a game does not do good in the location it was made, right? And then Amazon Games decide to make an agreement and contract for Throne and Liberty publishing rights here. Oh boy, man. And they're publishing on every like console like PlayStation. Dude, the game did horrible in North Korea. I mean, yeah, the game may be good somewhat in graphical wise, but like in other ways, the graphics are terrible. You see that? And the story is usually somewhat confusing. And everything else, when you go to auction house, if you want to get something from another player, purchase something, right? You have to have the premium currency. And with the Battle Pass, you can earn premium currency through the auction house for the Battle Pass. But if there's nobody spending money on the game, you're not making Lucent for free, right? Like, nobody's paying for Throne and Liberty. And I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm just explaining my honest opinion. Like, the game sucks. A lot of people who are seeing this pay to win, right, that are already saying the game sucks.
I'm not scared.
The game ain't no good.
I just tripped, okay?
If it ain't doing good, don't try and publish it here. You see, the developers behind Bless Unleashed, I mean, not Bless Unleashed, the one developers behind the Lineage series, right, that basically Throne and Liberty was supposed to be based off of a sequel of the Lineage series, but became its own thing, not part of the Lineage. Instead, it is its own thing. You get it, Dad? So, and the game ain't doing so well. Lineage, the game title, was doing way better than Throne and Liberty, Dad. You know, these are the same developers that made Lineage 1, 2, and 3. And I tell you right now, Lineage did way better than Throne and Liberty. You know that? And then what happened? Because of Throne and Liberty, the original developers with Throne and Liberty and the Lineage mobile games, they said, we decided to shut it down. We kept one, but we gave it to a different publisher on the mobile device. Why did you give it away? Because you know, you as a business, even in North Korea, you're losing money, right? Am I right, Dad? Like, if you failed to continue the other titles, it's not because it was outdated, it's because you're losing a lot of investment. A lot of North Korean player base, they're not paying for that. Nobody asked for a pay-to-win game. If it's a pay-to-win game, right, it would be best off being Final Fantasy XIV, right? With Throne and Liberty, right, that they were trying to imitate Final Fantasy online, in a way, right? How did that turn out? Because the way they developed the game as a free-to-play title and has so much pay to win in it, if you had add some free-to-play aspects into the game, a little more free-to-play would do better, you know? Because they promised free-to-play, right? Almost everything in the game costs money.
Let's go.
The battle pass, the auction house where you buy gear from other players, that costs money. Like the whole game costs money. Now I can see why this one Korean YouTuber who is known as Kanan or Canon, I don't know how to explain pronounce his name on YouTube name. YouTube name. I know that's probably not his real name. But like he was he was in the meeting, right? With the people who were talking and about the release of the game, you know? He was invited to talk to the person, right? Producing, I believe, the producer of the game in North Korea. He talked in Korean because that's his language, right? He asked the guy, okay, is there gonna be pay to win in this game? Right, Dad? You know what they did? This guy put subtitles so that way people can understand. In order to put subtitles, you have to edit, right? So Canon made subtitles to make it where everybody can understand what the other guy was saying and what he was saying, right? So he asked the guy who is the producer of the game itself, or whatever part of the game, right? He asked the guy at first, nicely, do you think your game would be completely pay to win? Right, Dad? Even though you say it's free to play. Right, Dad? And the guy who was explaining to the YouTuber guy that, well, he tried to make excuses, right? The guy, the producer, or whatever this guy was, the designer, whoever he was. He didn't say anything. That Korean guy who is in charge of being that place to explain about Throne and Liberty, he wasn't explaining shit. So the YouTuber asked him, but this time he was pissed. You know that? He was like, okay, that's not what I asked you. Do you think your game is gonna be pay to win trash? Get it, Dad? And when he recorded all that conversation, afterwards the edit happens, right? And he's explaining how there's a chance they might not want him in there anymore. You know that? But like he don't care, you know? I mean, nobody cares if the developer, you know, because the developer is not listening, right? When that one Korean guy who is in charge of explaining about the game, right? And he told people to ask him anything, right? And he don't want to admit, he don't want this guy who is in charge of talking about the free to play aspects of the game. There is no free to play aspects in Throne and Liberty. And then they were like, oh, we have plans to bring it to Amazon to publish here. Right? Look at that. They said they never answered this guy's question. They answered enough as it is because they not they're not they're not answering something that the person they say to ask. They don't want to explain anything that is important, right? If you make a free to play game, right? It's important as you as the developer who have a gaming community, right? To pay attention to your community. And then guess what? Yeah, they banned a lot of them people that made bots, right? Because there were so many bots, even on the console version, that it was on PC and consoles. There were so many fake NPCs made by one person, right? That was based off of his actual character in the game. He cloned his characters, right, into bots. And all those bots, they try to steal the farming when players try to farm, right? And early on, it didn't do so well. Not even here. So what happened to Amazon Games? They struggled because they didn't fix it in time. And a lot of players try to abuse the system, the services. Dude, don't like people shouldn't cheat, man. Don't use an MMO to make money and then sell stuff like Lucent to other people for less money, and that Lucent is hacked. You know why it's considered hacked? Because of the bots. You know that? That guy makes Lucent with bots. So now the player, it is considered hacked premium currency. And then they sell that currency on the internet in a website. And you know Lucent cannot be given to players by cells, right? So either this guy went straight into the servers of the game and hacked the whole entire thing by screwing it up by putting bots.
That's the spirit.
You know that?
Let's
Daddy,
stop and search.
when you put bots in an online service game, what do you think you're doing to the servers? Right? You're messing with the servers, right? So you're able to sell a premium
If you find the
currency
egg, whistle.
that is pay to win, right? And you're selling it, the premium currency, to a player, right? Through a website. That premium currency, because he used bots, that premium currency is now known as hacked items. You know? Hacked currency. Why? Because bots are just NPC versions of your character. And you don't have to do anything. You stay there. The bots are just doing its own thing because you're making it where you program those bots of your own character, right? To move wherever. You broke the number one rule of an MMO. You know Blizzard, Dad? They take things seriously, you know? Because they are an actual franchise, you know?
Then
You
we'll
know
meet you
Blizzard
there.
is an actual
Okay.
franchise? The developers who made Lineage, right? They're not an actual franchise if they don't know how to deal with their games. See, Lineage was doing way better than Throne and Liberty. Like, Lineage had controller support, you know? Adai? They could have just released Lineage, their popular title, instead of creating a new IP, right? Hey, look. What happened to Azabimo with Eternal Kingdom, right? That you know a game called Eternal Kingdom that used to be released on both PS4 and PS5. Hey, look. I'm gonna pause the stream And we're gonna make America better again. But Trump, why does your hair look weird? Uh, I don't know what you're talking about. And why is your hair sticking up? I don't know what you're talking about. I had a bad hair day. That's all it is. Moving on. Does anyone have questions? Oh man. We will make America wealthy again. The United States will be wealthy again. The wealthy will pay less. The poor will pay less. But aren't you doing what the opposite you say you're doing for the poor? And you're doing the opposite of what you're saying that you would do for the wealthy, right? So, like, it's so stupid, man. The guy is so stupid. Like, like I repeat certain things so this way people can be reminded, right? Like what MSNBC does. You sometimes have to explain some of the old stuff that Trump committed wrong. Like in the first time of office. He he got taken out before the last year. Like he got taken down what in the third year, right? That's not enough time because you didn't do anything right. They took you out for a reason. And then you had a lawsuit with a porn star, Stormy Daniels. That was another reason why you got taken out. You got taken out of presidency for the same reason of the things you did now, right? You hide the fact that you put someone involved with you and say he was your friend, and then you hook him up with 18-year-olds who are now at the point of adulthood, who had to suffer so much, man. It's crazy. Like, this guy is just, oh, I'll get away with it. No, you're not. Right? Hey, Dad. Dad. Daddy. Imagine if Trump showed up in one rally, right? And then Trump says, I am doing my job. And then the other person who is in the rally, he says, no, you're not. We are protecting from criminal crimes, domestic gun violence. Dude, shut the hell up. You're pissing off everybody, including gangsters, right? Because you do have good gangsters, but you also have bad gangsters, but you don't want to mention anything about gangsters because then you're getting yourself involved with gangsters. Like, you're blaming gangsters for gun violence, right? Most of the bad gangsters that exist in this city is because of him. The good gangsters had nothing to do with it, right? Like, some gangsters had nothing to do with shit he'd say, right, Dad? So, like, blame it on gangsters, that means you're blaming it on people still. And they are also somewhat considered citizens. But they are like the good side of the mafia, right? So you're blaming the mafia because they have guns. But the mafia that he's blaming, the gangsters that he is talking about, are not really bad gangsters. Yes, he has gangsters that work for him, criminals. But, like, you don't mention that shit even in front of the gangsters you put in part of you, right? Because now you just made yourself a bigger target. Do not mention domestic gangster gun violence because you put gangsters there too. So what are you gonna do? You're turning your own side against you, right? Like you're turning the people you hired, those that are usually gangsters, and you're making them look like they're your enemy too. So you use gangsters and then you talk smack about the other gangsters too. When you talk about one side, right, you're talking about the other side because they're both considered gangsters. So, like, you're putting it on both sides. Don't talk about gangster gun violence. Like, they're not part of the issue. They're somewhat the issue, but not completely the issue. The issue is you put and released criminals who were gangs, right? But like you talk smack about them, talking about domestic gun violence from gangsters, but yet you were part of that group, right? You as a president, not a leader, as a dictator, who was a part of that. And now you're putting your own people that you hired against you. And they are also gangsters. Like, you don't want to mess with the wrong people, right? And he's gotten himself involved with the wrong people. That's the funny thing, right? The funniest thing is he's talking smack about gang violence, domestic guns, but like he was a part of gang groups, right? He had people who were part of gangs who he paid, right? It's so funny, man. How this guy, how stupid he is. First he blames it on the citizens, right? And then he blames it on domestic gangster gun violence, man. You don't do that when you actually was a part of that. And even if they're bad gangsters or good gangsters, right? You join the bad ones. But like you're putting them against you, right? That so like dumbass. You see how many times I'm saying this on YouTube, and I don't get banned because I am explaining my expression, right? That about the whole situation. And then when I explain, oh, the city is losing money because Trump steals from the city, and then he tries to steal from business owners. It's kind of like when you put Nintendo, right, in a political way, right? Nintendo Japan, like I said, they're trying to bait people, right? Lure them in, saying, "Oh, our Switch 2 system is one of the best high quality versions of the original Switch." Right that? And then later on, so and behold, people have issues when they put backwards compatibility games on the Switch 2. That you know what they said? If you put a cartridge, right? Hey, look, you know what they say now? People are getting banned for putting physical cartridge, even if it's a Switch 1 cartridge game. You know that? Because you can't put the original ones in there too. It's just if you put any cartridge in there from the first Switch, right? That they will take it as an, oh, that's a hacked game. And it's not a hacked game, you know? I bought it while it was still sealed up, right? If I had bought the Switch 2 and put that Switch game in there, what happens? The Switch 2 bah, messes up right off the bat. See, some people who are die-hard supporters of Nintendo, who somewhat are aware of this, they're just trying to make the most of it, right, Dad? With the Switch 2, because they they know Nintendo is going downhill. All it is the same style, just a little bit of a different look. You okay? Is it here? Hey, don't worry, I don't squeeze too hard, okay? Let me see your hand. You know, if Mom was here, she would do the Colito, Colito Rana. Remember, she taught Belinda and Olivia that. It's so funny, you know. Oh man, ah, I wish my mom would have had focus on nutrition meals, man. I know she was going through what I was going through. You know that. That's why she ate sweets, right? It's a stress eating thing. Like, but guess what? I lose some weight, you know? So that's good for me. And plus I'm trying to improve how I eat, right, Dad? I haven't even drank no soda, right, Dad? How long has it been have I drank a soda? Daddy? How many months has it been from this year have I drank no soda? One whole year, right? I could last a second year without, caffeine. And if I have a soda, it'll probably be a small can, right? Because I'm trying to improve and stay away from caffeine. To, I don't want to overdo caffeine. Since last year I used to abuse caffeine. Remember, Daddy? And then early December, because I was still continuing stress eating, but I ate the wrong things, you know? Every night I would stay up and then I'll think, I need something. My sugar feels low. It feels high, whatever, right? To me, I felt like my sugar was low, but it wasn't, it was probably high. Like, I thought that eating any type of like cake or anything junk food related or Pepsi, I thought that was gonna help me because my body was confusing me. You know that? It's like they say, your body can confuse you. It could say one thing to you, right? And then it makes you think something else. It's kind of like when your brain is thinking, right? And you're like, hmm. It's like, let's say I'm playing this game, right? Dad, look. Let's say I'm playing this game, right? And I attack a monster. I think it's that one element. But because I didn't pay attention to, they would have a field guide here that, look, hey, they would have a field guide here that would tell you what elements monsters are weak against, you know? So, like, if you're not paying attention to that, of course you're gonna get confused, right? You're not like you're like, oh, I could play without the guide, right? No, if you don't pay attention to the elemental resistance you need that the monster is gonna do against you, okay, you're dead. And if you don't have the right weapon for with the right element as your character and your Monstie dead, you know why? Your Monstie, you can have like I believe 5 or 4, right? I think on your team. You know how in Pokemon you have 6 Pokemon, right, Dad? But like, it's not like I'm ever gonna support Pokemon ever again. Oh boy, it's the same damn thing. Just same story, same dang Pokemons. Just different locations, right? It's talking about the same thing, right, Dad? That you would hear the character talk about in the first game, right? It's like Pokemon are our friends. This world is inhabited by creatures known as Pokemon, right, Dad? That's the same thing you hear. Dad, you want to hear what they say in Pokemon every time you start off? Dad, look, the professor shows up in the game, right? And he says, this world is inhabited by creatures known as Pokemon. Right, Dad? You hear that you look at the subtitles of that every dang Pokemon game. Yeah, it may be a different story, but early on they just say the same thing over and over. And some of these Pokemon, they're just the same Pokemon that you would see either in Kanto and other regions, right? They like people want something new. Mega Evolution bringing that back won't help, right, Dad? Adding new Mega Evolutions for Pokemon again, no good. That's fucked up already. Nobody cares about Pokemon. And the other thing is, because they're trying to take down Palworld, which won't happen, you know that, Dad? I guarantee you, this lawsuit may end sometime halfway or early next year. You know that, Dad? And once the judge decides to say the lawsuit makes no sense, this lawsuit has been finished. Right, Dad? I don't care what Nintendo says. I believe the other side. Right, Dad? Because whatever Nintendo does and say, it's like what Trump does, you know? You know how many lawyers Nintendo hired, Dad? One after the other, after the other, after the other, and for more and more and more lawyers, you know? Pocket Pair, look this, Dad. Pocket Pair only needs one lawyer. You get that? They are winning the case with just one lawyer, or probably without a lawyer. But usually, when you go to a lawsuit, you have to have a lawyer, right? And they only use one lawyer because when Nintendo hires a lawyer, right, Daddy, when Nintendo hires a lawyer, that lawyer is only agreeing with Pocket Pair. Why? Because the lawsuit that Nintendo is putting against Pocket Pair with Palworld makes no sense. The only reason why one of their lawsuits, like releasing a PAL, right, from a PAL sphere while throwing it in the air, right? Why did that one pass? Because one of the lawyers was not aware, right? And then afterwards, he was like, wait a minute. I passed this lawsuit for them And yet, this lawsuit for this mechanic took inspiration. Screw this. I'm not doing any more lawsuits with Nintendo. I'm not helping Nintendo, right? That's what they said. And so Nintendo just decided to hire a new lawyer, right? The other lawyer went to the other side, right? So now they don't just have one lawyer on their side, you know? They have two lawyers, and then they have three lawyers. Nobody's backing up Nintendo in the lawsuit, right? So what did Nintendo decide to do, right? Get the old man who retired as former game designer for Capcom Japan, right? They decided to rely on a guy who retired from Capcom Japan, right, Dad? Right? Hey, Daddy. You see, Nintendo tried to rely on an old person who worked for Capcom Japan. Hey, he tried to former game designer. Hey. Why are you sleeping, dude? It it's early. It's still early in the afternoon. But I want to tell you something real quick. So, the former game designer of Capcom Japan, right, who is retired from Capcom, Nintendo pulled him in and got him involved, right? What did the former game designer who was retired, what did he say? And he had his own YouTube channel, right? He said, "This is unforgivable. I think Pocket Pair should just let Nintendo buy them out," right? Fuck Nintendo, man. Nintendo would just use them and make all the money themselves, right? So like it's kind of like when let's say Trump bought out another business, right, Dad? Right? Who's making the money? Trump, because he bought out the business, right, Dad? So any product that that business sells, right, Dad? Right? Daddy, any product that that business sells that Trump bought out that business, right? When Trump bought out a shop, right? I'm making this an example. Look at me. When the person buys the product, the money that goes to the business, hello? screw it, we're gonna keep it the way it is. It's like, we don't want to make our game and make people think that, oh, this is sketchy, right? It's like, oopsies, I think I made a mistake. This isn't doing too well for our game. Let me see something here. Woohoo! Nope, nope, no, 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 no. Damn. Oh, Dad, someone's playing Octopath Traveler Zero. You know, Dad? This game, if I remember correctly, it takes the place from the story of the mobile version. You heard that? And 1 and 2 of the game as well. You know? Dad? So you had the 2 games that are on PlayStation, right? And the one on mobile. Basically, it's telling before, and then now, and then afterwards, right? So you have Zero, and then it explains the story part 1 and 2. But it takes place way before 1 and 2. Or probably after. I gotta look it up. I mean, I do want to get into that game, though, you know? Part of me wants to get into it because, Square Enix, right, Dad? They are very, very good with storytelling games, you know? And that's why I love Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, because it was good. Kingdom Hearts 3, at first, right, before the final ending, right? It was getting so good, man. It was getting so good. But now, because they did add an expansion to part 3, right? So now we understand, because I already saw the part, where Sora is gathering the pieces. Hey, look, I saw the ending where Sora is gathering the pieces of Kyrie's heart, right, Dad? Hey!